Hey there, it's Lokazi casting a game between myself as the red Protoss in the bottom left versus Daizuk in the top right as the blue Zerg. Now I played this game a few weeks ago, I think. I'm going back through old replays, finding stuff to cast. I have a few from Sly I need to cast still, but I thought I would start with this one for the night. I labeled this as stopping a Roach push, so I'm guessing we're going to see one base Roach play out of the Zerg. And one of the biggest threats as a Protoss versus a Zerg right after the early pool rush across the map easy win on maps like Steps of War is a very early timed Roach push. What they're going to do is they're going to push with 5 or so Roaches across the map to really put a lot of pressure on your base and maybe take out a pylon, most of your Zeals that you have defending. I've so expertly supply capped myself for a few seconds there. Throwing out this probe. Probe rushing across the map, seeing what's up with him. He's at 11 drones and has the second Overlord up, heading across the map. Now he didn't send his first Overlord out, I don't think, off the bat. It's only about halfway across the map. Maybe that's about right. Maybe it's supposed to be about halfway across the map. This drone poking its head into my base, seeing what it can see. Boosting out probes here. Trying to keep my economy up to that Zerg. Zerg throwing down his spawning pool after his extractor. So that's interesting. That's fairly common of a Roach build, as getting enough gas to support those Roaches and an economy to support those Roaches is very imperative for them. My gateway is almost done. My assimilator has been thrown down. It's finishing up. I'm pulling some probes one at a time off. Whenever they return minerals, I run them over there. And I'll probably throw out a Zeal. I scouted and didn't see a pool last time I was over there. So yeah, I'm making a little bit of a little passageway here on the right hand side with pylons and a gateway. It's a little down on probe production there. I got supply capped again. Boosted out the Zeal, it's almost done. Then of course is to block and seal up that gate for any type of Zergling aggression that may be coming across the map. Which it looks like he is making some Zerglings right now. He'll probably send across, do some harassment, do some scouting, see what's going on in general. This Zeal is going to be more than enough to hold him off. Should be starting Warp Gate tech here in just a moment. Boosting out more probes. Throwing down a second gateway. I'm a little late on my Warp Gate tech even though I've had enough minerals. Wow, that's just a little depressing. Hindsight's 2020 though, I guess. Here are the Zerglings running up, getting a scout, getting trapped and picked off between my Zeals there. This one of course on hold, to make sure nothing gets past. This one I'm letting free roam to move up a little bit. Boosting out the Warp Gate tech there. Again, supply blocking myself. I did not play that hot this game. Meanwhile, back at the Zerg's base, he has his Roach worn out. He has his Queen pumping out larvae, using both injections, the first and the second, for the inject larva, which is interesting. A lot of Zerg you see throwing down a creep tumor on their second instead of injecting, especially with Roach play, as it helps get the creeps right up to the front of the base. It's easier to defend. Now he did interestingly go for Zergling speed, even though he's going for a Roach build, which I guess makes up for the fact that I'm not really playing my best, and that he is also not playing his best because he's wasting gas for no reason really. I'm boosting out probes there, and my first 2 stalkers are about to finish. I do have a sentry to throw down and block the hill here, and it has enough energy for 2, as it was my 3rd unit that was built. Warp Gate tech is nearly done, but not quite. I see the Roaches coming up the hill here and block them off. Start poking them back. And this Warp Gate tech will finish in just a moment. I'm going to build these 3 stalkers, it looks like. I might convert, yeah, I cancel those. This stalker though I'm going to let finish. Has just enough energy right now to finish. And I block in those 4 Roaches, which at this point I don't think have the range upgrade. No, they're only at 3 range right now. So I'm holding off this Roach Gate, which he really should be attacking my sentry if nothing else, as it's in range. He tries to rush past here, trying to get as much damage done to my probes as possible. Looks like he does pick one off, but he loses all of these roaches for no real change, picking off one probe, and it looked like 2 Zeals and I think a Stalker. Meanwhile, I know that he's going roaches. I assume that he doesn't have speed on his Zerglings, which a little bit of a fairly good assumption if they're going to go for roaches. But he does have speed on Zerglings, so if he went Zerglings right now, seeing how many Stalkers I had, that would probably be the best call by him. I'm moving this probe across the map to drop down a proxy pylon. Meanwhile, rolling out with the Stalkers I do have. Looks like he has a few Zerglings. Should probably back those up into his base. But he goes ahead and engages here. And those are going to quickly fall to my Stalkers. So really the important thing here is watching how to defend against those roaches. And the key there, much like Marine Marauder stim pushes, is the sentry. Getting a sentry out second or third in your order of building and your order of units is really important. Second if you can, third if you're versus Zerg and you are fearing some Zergling aggression, because you really want at least 2 Zeals out to block, because 1 Zeal can take on about 5-6 Zerglings by itself in a line, but if that falls, you're going to need a second Zeal there to defend it. Now I have 2 Stalkers that are really low here, probably best for him to pick those off. In the meantime, he's thrown up some Spine Crawlers, good defense against Stalkers, that's for certain. But he's not going to be able to finish off any of my units, not focus firing them down very well, he's not using the alt function to be able to pick them off. I go ahead and finish off that Spine Crawler that was low, kill off the Queen. I'm going to finish off most of his drones here. I'm going to back away so that way they can't lure me back to that Spine Crawler, and just continue to pick them off. And moving this pylon and moving this probe up and dropping this pylon, of course, really important in Protoss pushes. So there we had defending against a 5 roach play as a Protoss, and I only 3 gated. A lot of the times you can 4 gate, and look how many minerals I have left over, really some, and gas for that matter. Kind of some bad micro out of me there, macro that is. I probably should have thrown on another gate or 2 and probably started researching Zealed Legs. I really like Zealed Legs versus Zerg because it prevents the surrounding of all those Zerglings on you, as you kind of surround them as they run in, and it really helps with the numbers. Thanks for tuning in for that Defending a Roach push.